I believe when it comes to purpose, that's something you seek God on. Because your giftedness is not your purpose. It's a vehicle to your purpose. My purpose in my giftedness is to point people to Jesus Christ. These are gifts that God has given for you to steward. But what is the main purpose of them? The purpose is to tell people what He has done for you, what He's doing for you, because as we go through this journey, we are not all on the same level. And even if we are, our experiences are similar, but not the same. And so I strongly believe life is simply about one thing: building your character. That's it.
Welcome to The Climb, where I help Christian men live fully, lead boldly, and leave a legacy that matters. I'm your host, Teko Bailey, husband, father, life coach, and your guide in the climb. Whether you're navigating fatherhood, building a business, or simply longing to live more purpose, this is a space to rise. Well, let me introduce you. Kate Anthony, welcome to The Climb. It's a pleasure to have you here. You are the 2024 Juno Award winner for, I think it's the Gospel Contemporary Album. Congratulations, that's a huge achievement. And I know there are other achievements that you have behind your name, but to make it to that stage of winning the Juno Award, because that's a big deal. So thank you so much for joining us. As a father, what's one of the biggest things that you consider to be what keeps you going as a dad, as you're there for your kids?
What keeps me going? Just to see them. I don't take it for granted being a parent. It's a great call and a great responsibility. I have some young minds to mold to the best of my ability, which means I need to assess what my parents didn't do so well, what they did well, and try not to emulate any of the mistakes that they have made. Because they're human beings. They're going to make some mistake, like myself. Yes. And so is how best I can groom them, grow them, one, for me, in the fear of God, and also to be great impact for the society. So for me, it's just to have them around. That's it, where I know I have a great calling to groom them and guide them right so that they can fulfill their potential, what God has created them to do. So in everything I do, I try to do it to the best of my ability for them to see it as some form of a reference point, possibly what not to do. As I said, we are not perfect. And I'm not afraid to apologize to them if I've made a mistake. And I'm also not afraid to let them know that this is an area that I made mistake.
Yes.
It could be how I spoke to them.
Yes.
Or if they feel as if I was a little bit too hard, I'll explain to them why I think I needed to be.
Yes.
And I have some very outspoken kids, especially the older one. Well, all three of them, but the older one is like a lawyer. So she will talk her how she feel. Sometimes it get a little irritating, but I have to respect the fact that she's a human being.
Yes.
She's a child of God, and I need to respect her voice. So I have to, it's something that I tell myself, okay, listen to what she has to say because she needs to be able to express herself.
Yes.
And sometimes I will not accept. I will say, listen, because there's a line for me. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful point in your life because they will not always be at this age and this stage.
That's right.
So
that's right.
to find, and it's surprising. I have a 14-year-old. I can't believe that. When did that happen? It's like clockwork. It was so quick. So yeah, parenting is great. And I think every parent should just see themselves as a form of a representation of God. Yes. And so they need to set the best examples possible for their child. And so that's what motivates me. That's what I focus on as a parent.
I love how you say it, because I also have a lawyer in my house and he will challenge you. And he's only 6 years old. Uh, but you really have to see the strength that they're born with and how to channel it
Yes,
the right direction.
yes,
I think
yes,
sometimes as parents, when we don't understand that, we can break the child, and it is the very thing that they are are good at and is supposed to
yes,
help them along their way in the future.
yes,
So I love how you highlighted that. And I think you're on the right track in terms of just listening and hearing. And I think, of course, they need guidance and they won't necessarily get everything right. But I think as fathers, we guide them and we steer them in the right direction. So I love that. You talked a little bit about your earlier years, not coming into music expecting to be the singer that you are, because I didn't you I wasn't aware that you were considering pursuing agronomy. Tell me a little bit about that, just uh the switch from agronomy to music, or even what led you to desire to become an agronomist.
Well, I will start back when I was a story I often share. I would start back when I was probably about 12. Um, I think that's how the trajectory of my life started shifting. I didn't know God for myself. I knew God through my mom or through my parents.
Yes.
My dad would leave early, so my mom would have worship with me and my brother, David. So I disobeyed my parents. I was a truck and I was an athlete. I disobeyed my parents and I went to the beach when I shouldn't have. And I found myself in a difficult position. I was drowning. And so it was my first time having to call on God in a very personal way. And he showed up. During that time, I had actually said, hey, if you show up for me, I'm going to give you my heart. I don't even know what that looks like. I knew that you baptized. I was going to church, but I wasn't connected to church. I was just going to church because I am familiar with the Sabbath, my mom. That's it. I didn't have that connection. And so when he saved me through a friend, and this was a terrible situation, I'm just glossing over it
Yeah.
because I'd gone under the water a few times and I knew death was assured.
Whoa.
And so the only thing came back to my memory was if you're the pastor had preached sometime. It's funny how God worked. That if you're ever in difficulty, call on God.
That's
That's
right.
the only thing in my head. Only thing I could, and it's as if the Holy Spirit is offered me an opportunity because
Yeah.
it came back
Yeah.
to me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this. And in our vernacular, I said, God, do me, I beg you, save me. I
Yes.
did not want talking no English. I think the vernacular of
It brings
one's
it out.
culture is deep.
Yeah,
It
man.
it has a deeper meaning. And so he did. And I battled now with the promise that I made God.
Yeah.
And I remember my pastor came to my home, Bible study, and he said, what's just holding you back from giving your heart to God? And I was trying to
Yeah.
figure what it was. It was difficult. Me and my mom had this conversation. She had allowed me up until that point to do track and field. I went on the Sabbath. I got a scholarship to William Nib, the same school that Usain Bolt went to. My brother went to the same school too.
That's
And
right.
my mom supported me so much in track and field, but yet still this was a problem. And she taught me. It wasn't harsh. She just said you have to make a decision for God.
Yeah.
And I remember I cried because I said, I've been gifted this thing. Why am I not able to use it? This doesn't make no sense. That's what I said to her. And she said to me, simple.
Wow.
Have you ever thought that you have another talent? I was like, if I have another talent, God need to show me. It was a form for prayer, but it was more of being so annoyed with this.
Yeah.
And funny enough, a friend of mine was asked to sing the Sabbath, and he was timid. I was super timid, but in a group of friends, you're not generally. So we said we're going to support him, me and another friend, and we supported him and we sang. The church was excited
Yeah.
to see 14, 13, 12 group young guys singing. And I don't know. I don't know if we sounded good, but we were motivated. So we decided we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this again next summer. We sang again. The church was excited. So we all met that evening, I remember, and we said, let us form a group. It's just interesting how God works. And we did. And during the same time, I decided one day that, no, I'm going to give my heart. I'm going to baptize. And I did. Well, high school, instead of going to, I started training for William Lee, but my mom just came one day and they say, you're going to Harrison Memorial High School in Montego Bay. I was devastated.
Whoa.
It's like, no, that was a major blow for me. So I got baptized. So I'm kind of twisting the story. I really got baptized in grade 8.
Yeah.
And that was a terrible time for me because my identity was in track and field.
Yeah.
Everybody in Trelawny who knows me as a very good athlete. And so I struggled with low self-esteem. No, you're almost like you're removing something that's my identity. That's a problem. I got in a lot of fights. Not because I wanted to fight, but if you doesn't matter the slightest situation, when I could walk away, I'm not walking away.
Yeah.
And so it was a moment where I was going through a lot in my mind. And I remember this lady, and her name is Miss Johnson. And I developed a temper. This is crazy. A terrible one. And they were looking at me, I will never forget. My Bible teacher and another lady who just passed, and Miss Johnson, who passed years ago. And they were like, oh my God, look at Kevin. Because I was hyperventilating, I was sad, I was mad, I felt, but they didn't know why.
Yeah.
So they said something to me and I said, I don't want to be here. And I said it under my breath. So they were more like, what did you say? And I said it that I don't want to be here. So they said, so why are you here? So because my mom sent me here.
Yeah.
So they called my mom, who was a manager at a store in Montego Bay. So she came by the school. So she was like, so they said, what's going on with Kevin? Do you know that he doesn't want to be here? I will never forget this. And my mom said, yes, that's the reason why he's here. Just was so simple. She's like, yeah, that's the reason why he's here. He needs to be here.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And I remember God used Miss Johnson to say, listen, I had a similar gifting as you. And I had to make a decision, so I know it's hard. And she walked with me. She would tell me to come to her office and walk with her, and she would talk to me. And you know, it's so funny how God works, because after she helped me almost over the hump, she died.
Whoa.
Not long after, like within the time that she was guiding me and helping me to say, Kevin, I was as talented as ever, and I know how you feel. But this is the situation. She died. So I always have her in my heart in terms of her memory. So transitioning to Harrison, I started developing a love for Agriscience.
Yeah.
I was just an average student when it comes to chemistry and physics. When it comes to biology and Agriscience, I was pretty good. And as we continued go through the years of high school, time for graduation, I was now singing actively in high school, singing actively at church. So I would practice on my own. And I sang at my high school graduation. You know, we all did CXC. So at that point, I said, oh, I think I have a love for this Agriscience. And I look up what I could do with it. And I said, this sounds fancy. I'll do this. I want to become an agronomist.
Yeah.
So I told my mom, and she said, okay, let me call the school. And the school said, you know, I think the deadline had passed, and they said, we're not going to accept until the other year. So I was like, and my mom, I remember standing in their room, and my mom just said, have you ever thought, you've always been passionate about music? It was so weird. Even to this day, when I think about it, it's so weird to me.
Yeah.
She said, have you ever thought of doing music? And I sat there and I said, no. And she said, at least for a year. I was like, okay. And we signed up.
Yeah.
What I didn't tell you prior, when I was transitioning from high school, I'd been offered a scholarship to come to the US for track and field. Although I hadn't run in a while, but I was training with a club.
Wow.
Biggest test of my life. And I just simply obeyed. I asked my mom at the time. She was in the Cayman Islands. It's not like my parents had no much control. No, I'm 17. I can make that decision. And she said, "Why no?" And I just said, "What's your answer? Yes or no?" And she said, "No." And I followed that. Um, then I came to Northern Caribbean University. I felt out of place because I never did music. I did music in high school, but not so in depth. So I remember when they had asked me to do what is it called again? Like an entry. I needed to
Yeah.
do an entry
Recital or something.
presentation.
Yeah.
When I reflect on it, I was so horrible because I was singing more stylistic than what they would have wanted. But they
Yes.
never said no. I remember Dr. Marlene Anderson and Miss Anderson, and they said, yeah, I guess they saw some talent and saw areas where, I need to grow. And so I did a program for a year and I decided to stay, which we talk somewhat
Yeah. Yeah.
of the year that, that was my plan, the year, and I'm out. But I stayed because the friendship that I was developing, and I really appreciated them, and I said, okay, this is tough. Let me write it out. And I did. I got signed when I was 19, while in school. And that situation was both good and bad. It was at the time, I can only say it's good and bad because I'm more mature now. Then it was horrible because
Yeah.
it felt, you hear all the horrors of business, of music, and if you're not if you're not if you're not around a family that have done well in business, you will face some challenges that you didn't necessarily have to go through. It's
Yes.
easier that when you grew up in a family that understand business to an extent. So it's kind of there's some adaptation naturally when you're around it, or you have to
Exactly.
learn from the ground. And so I didn't focus more on the business. I was so into the creative aspect that the business part was lacking for me. And so I had to learn this. It was difficult. And what's funny, I remember when I asked you to be my manager, you know why I asked you? Because I saw where you possess certain qualities that I didn't at the time. So I'm always a person that likes to work in community because I know that I have strengths and I have weaknesses, and it's
Yeah.
okay. You can develop, you can grow some, but there's also people that God has placed around you that has natural innate abilities for whatever reason that you don't possess, and that's fine. That's why collaborative work is so important to me.
It is.
And so I learned those things over time, and it if I tell anyone that I saw myself achieving in music, what I've been able to achieve in specifically in Canada, I would be so lying. See, I have a mind where I want to achieve things, but it's just a goal of achieving. But what does that look like?
Yes.
How do you get to that point? Yes, it's hard, but you still possibly can't navigate yourself to that point. And so
Yes.
I've been able to reflect on how God has taken a country boy from Trelawny, bring him to Northern Caribbean University, allow him to meet people like you and other people, just being in a set of people, you're impacted by that. And then it take you through a different stage, allow you to meet other people, and as you continue, you grow and you learn. And if you're a fast adapter, or if you're keen to learning, he then can do more with you faster than if you're not.
Well, I hear you touch on a few key points, and I think one is trusting God because your mom was there, she was guiding you, and even though everything didn't make sense at the time, she was clearly hearing, or I'm assuming hearing a bit from the Lord that she was kind of giving you
Yes.
guidance there. And I think it's also interesting, like when we, as you say, track and field was your heart. It was like you felt like it's your identity and it was ripped away from you. But I think in life, when we are able to put something, as we would say, on the altar and give it back to God and then say, okay, God, let me give you permission to use me in a different way. It's amazing how God kind of can just flip things around and do things that you would never ever kind of imagine that he would do. And I think life is just, it's amazing when we use these moments and just say, okay, God, what do you have in store for me? Because sometimes we don't ask him.
That's true. And so I believe when it comes to purpose, that's something you see God on.
Yes,
Because your giftedness is not your purpose. It's a vehicle to your purpose. My
yes.
purpose in my giftedness is to point people to Jesus Christ.
Come on, come on.
And sometimes I think we confuse them. It's been blurry for some at a point in my life, but it got clear as I became a little bit more mature that yes, these are gifts that God has given for you to steward. But what is the main purpose of them? The
Yes,
purpose is to tell people what He has done for you, what He's doing for you, because as we go through this journey, we are not all on the same level. And even if we are, our experience are similar, but not the same. And so different people will, I strongly believe life is simply about one thing:
yes.
building your character. That's it.
Come on, come on.
Everything else is a bonus. You're
Yes,
given it to steward and to impact your society in a positive way. But
that's right.
the simple aim is to make your character be like Christ. That is it, what it is. Nothing, doesn't matter if you're a billionaire, doesn't matter if you work on a garbage truck, doesn't matter if you're a farmer, it's to build your character.
It is. I love that. I love that. Take me a little bit into the music world. What are some of the pros and cons of doing life at that level in the music industry? And what would you advise anybody who is maybe heading in that direction?
As you know, like anything else that is creative, it can be competitive. And you can be drawn into the competitiveness of it. Because I have, and some days is better than some, I'll be okay. But then you hear something that's like, dang, how did that person write that?
Yeah.
It's like, man, I need to write something like that because it's powerful.
Come
So
on.
there's a competitive side to it. And if anybody sees that there is not, I know for them, I don't think they're being honest. But I believe you should understand the music business and the different areas of music business. Because as Christians, sometimes we shy away from business. It's a structure, just a way of accomplishing or doing things. Nothing
Yes,
devilish about it. There's devilish act or practices that people might participate in. That's their concern,
that's
either
right.
by how you treat people or whatever. But in terms of the structure, it's what it is. There's a structure. There's a way to do things where things are done, and some of it you want to follow. Some of it you don't have to follow because you can break the mold. You can be unique. You don't have to follow the same trajectory as everyone. And I don't think that what God intended either way. So it's understanding that there's a business side, what it con what it consists of.
Yes,
Um, Legal matters, treat them as such. Have a representative who can review legal documents. You're not a lawyer.
yes,
You don't treat yourself. You go to the doctor. Um, but some of the key things for me is surround yourself with people of wisdom. Surround yourself with people who has more knowledge than you, who have done it. Also, I would say one, understand your own gifting, where you're at, what you're lacking, what you need to grow, and be open to growing. That's the only way you can be your best self. That
Yes.
won't necessarily come overnight. Those things are timely for a reason. It's definitely something you have to persevere. It's nothing that you can just be a part of and just expect success overnight. I mean, it happens for some people, or you think it's an overnight success when it's not. The amount of groundwork possible that has been done behind the scene, you're not familiar with, or you have never seen it, but they have done a lot of work in most cases, if not all. And so just understand that you will have to push. There are days it won't feel like you want to do anything.
Yeah.
But you don't base nothing on your feelings. Because I'm sure my wife have heard me said I'm done
Yeah.
a lot of times, but I'm the type of person I'm done. But to the next moment, that's me doing just pushing.
You're
That's what
ready
it is.
again.
I'm back at it again. And it's
Yeah.
like you said, oh, this person probably bipolar. Because he just said he's
Yeah.
not bipolar. He's just simply understanding, listen, life is just gonna give you challenges. And so what are you gonna do with them? Cry about it.
Yeah.
Laugh about it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Get mad. But then go back to the drawing board and say, okay,
Yes.
what do I need to do? And seek God on it. And I'm sure He will guide you. If this is what He has called you to, He will guide you. Once I was asked what's my biggest moment. Prior to the juniors, my biggest moment was simply the fact that I got to record with a producer in Nashville. Why? I'm a country boy from Jamaica. I've known about Nashville, but even in traveling, somewhat, I wouldn't say late, but I started traveling in my early teens. I never dreamt of going to Nashville. So just the mere fact that God connected me with someone there, and the
Yes.
person who worked closely with a major artist was like, I think you're talented, and I'd love to work with you. That was crazy.
Wow.
First thing, that idea wasn't even presented to me. It was a friend of mine who said, yo, since you're talking to this guy, I think you should ask him if he has a song for you.
Come on.
And as Jamaica, I find that Jamaican artists like to say they write everything and they produce and they sing. No, as I said, community is so important. So when they said, hey, I have a song for you, there's a song started The Cure. I was like, yeah.
Wow.
And I flew there and we recorded. I remember in the night I drew the curtain in the hotel and I was looking and I said, I really made this?
Yeah, man.
Because for some people, it's nothing. And I told a friend who visit Nashville all the time throughout their life, but at that time, which was 2018,
Yeah.
it was my biggest achievement because to me, how will I ever find a producer in Nashville to ever
That's
need
right.
to fly to Nashville to go record?
And I mean,
And so
Nashville is
when that
it's an
came to life,
iconic place.
it's the music, basically the music mecca of the world.
Yep.
And 70%, a great percentage of people you run into are in the music business. So it's just like, wow. And yeah, at that point, for me, even to this day, I think that's one of my biggest, if not my biggest moment in my life, because it was one where someone in the business actually was saying, hey, it's almost like I don't need to be verified. God verified me. But for someone to say, who have heard some really good singers sing or record,
Yeah.
say, yeah, man, you're good. I took that humbly to say, oh, I'm on the right track. So let's
Yes.
give more. Let's buckle down some more and give everything that I can. Yeah. So one, surround yourself with some people that really believe in what you're doing.
That's right.
And leave the rest to God.
I love that. I love that. You as a father, as a musician, you juggle a lot of things. How do you stay grounded? What keeps you grounded?
Woo! What keeps me grounded? Mercy. Ah, my kids, my wife. Because if I sing, they know the songs maybe before everyone hears them.
That's right.
So one of the way they keep me grounded is if I make a mistake, they'll let me know. Like, you didn't do that part good.
Yeah.
But there's the fact that, oh yeah, they will let me know that clear.
Yeah.
So that keep me very humble.
Come on.
You just realizing that I'm not perfect. I'm in need of the same grace as everyone.
Yes.
Uh, so what is it to be cocky about, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, sometimes people misunderstand you packaging yourself for not being humble. But I
Yeah.
have nothing to be cocky about. I breathe like everybody else.
Yeah.
Use the bathroom like everybody else. Eat
Yeah.
like everybody else. Um, yeah, so that is what keep me humble. I'm a normal human being that has been gifted something that I truly believe in and I push and work. Doesn't separate me from nobody.
Yes.
I'm just a servant. Simple. I have a message to give
I
you,
love it.
and that's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
How?
Not gonna don't play myself to say I don't believe in what I've been given, but there's nothing for me to gloat about really. And I
Yeah.
told my wife and some friends, once you have a dream of achieving something major, I have.
Yeah.
It's on the piano. What does it mean though? Like I pass it all the time. It doesn't do anything. And this might sound like a disrespect, but it doesn't do anything for me.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a moment in time, almost like a monument to say, hey, God is saying, I want people to acknowledge you. Here it is. You have done well with that. But the key thing, and this morning it came to my mind, the key thing, I've received few awards from my alma mater, one in Bahamas this year, 3 in Alberta, Canada, some others from the GMA Canada, and the Junos, which is for people and for myself the biggest award. True. But you know what would be the best thing that ever happened to me? Is that when Jesus would have come, he said, you did well.
That's right.
That should be bigger than any award that I've gotten because that's the ultimate prize, like for real. And people might think I'm being so biblical, but it's a fact. Like, what's
Yes.
this?
Yes.
It's nothing. Well, the key thing is, did I truly use my gift to let people know that Jesus died for them? He loves them. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what the obstacle is. It doesn't matter what the challenges is. You can find peace in God. Have I done that? Or did I do all of this for myself with a little bit of God?
Yeah.
And so that's a challenge you'll face as an artist. And just making sure you submit to God and say, God, just use me wholeheartedly to not lift up to not lift my name up, but to let people know who you are, what you can do for them because you have done it for me. Just to be transparent and open. That's it.
So good.
Best gift,
So
a
good.
crown.
So good. I love it. As we wrap up, how would you encourage men or fathers out there who are going through maybe just tough seasons and maybe they don't necessarily have somebody to walk alongside them and encourage them? Uh, how do you encourage a man who's going through that journey right now? And yeah, if you have any words that you'd want to share with him.
A man going through a journey like myself on this road. We have we're fighting against our own self most of the time. Most of the time, the damages that has happened to you as an individual, that's what you're really fighting it. That's where the struggle comes in. Either some people refer to it as like generational
Yeah.
um issues, could be cultural. So it's kind of like you you're going against the grain of that.
Yeah.
I would tell any man to want more for themselves, more growth, you know? And nobody should be discarded. Nobody should feel as if they can't go beyond what their current state. And that's the first thing I'll tell an individual. God doesn't see you that way. I don't see nobody that way either.
Yeah.
Be honest. Be honest with yourself of your strengths and your weaknesses. And as I mentioned before, a lot of the times, well, society is shifting a little bit. Think it's slow. You need professional help.
Yes.
My wife brought this to me years ago when she observed some inadequacies with myself, but I was against that. I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
you probably feel like, no, can't deal with it.
Yeah.
As I get older, and I was genuine about it, I asked God once to say, hey, I don't want to be this type of man. I don't want to be this type of person. And I need your help. So don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help from God. And he's the first person you should go to. Why? Because he's able to navigate behind the scenes and guide you to the person that probably is going to be a voice for him that will
Yes.
bring about some healing process in your life.
And
And
sometimes
so
that could be
be
professional help,
open
meaning counseling or
is
therapy, right?
needed. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to say it. I'm doing
Yeah.
therapy right now.
Yeah. Therapy
I
is
did it
good.
last semester. It is important. Like,
Yes.
if you're really serious about growth and facing what some people refer to as your demons and overcoming them,
Yeah.
therapy is necessary, man.
Yep.
We won't all be magically touched with the one that God has, what people think by saying, you're changed immediately.
Yeah.
Sometimes God wants to take you through a process because the process is important. So be open for change, be open for the process, and want to be a better version of yourself. If it's not just for you, if you have kids, which you said for fathers, for your kids, so that they can experience a healed father,
Yes.
so that they don't have to have the trauma that you have experienced.
So
And so
good.
that's something that whenever I make a mistake with my kids, I'm not happy with myself. Because I have to say to myself, oh my gosh. Because I don't want to traumatize them. I want them to be rich in the experience that I've given to them as a father, so that they can really be better person and they don't have to feel less loved or trying to look for love in the wrong place and those type
Yeah.
of things. Yeah, submit to God. And the text I'd leave with them is Proverbs 3, 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. And the key word is all. Cannot be some, cannot be majority. It's all. And lean not to your own understanding. Probably why this text means so much to me, because I sometimes lean towards what I am capable of seeing, and that's possibly your understanding, what you're capable of. How far can you see? You can't see too far. God see beyond what you can see. So trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways, every single area of your life, acknowledging. Acknowledges God over your finances, God over your personal life, God over your spiritual life. He doesn't want you to separate them. He's God over your entire life. And he will. Not maybe, not perhaps, but he will direct your heart, your life.
I love it. I love
and
it.
make you into the person that he has envisioned you to be. And so, yeah, you can trust God.
I love it. If people want to follow you, how do they get in touch? How do they get to learn more about K. Anthony? And just tell us where we could find some of that. And if there's anything coming up later this year, or any new release that's coming out, let us know.
Yeah, so for following me, you can go on Instagram, K Anthony Live. For Facebook, K Anthony Live. Twitter, K Anthony Live. YouTube, K-Anthony or K Anthony Live. For my website is kanthonylive.com. And I recently drop a song called Fallen, which I wrote in a very interesting time. When I was battling depression and other issues, reminding people that if you think you're fallen, God is able to pick you up. And what's new? I actually have a project. People say you released a project last year, but I actually have a project that I
Come
worked on early in the year. And I will be releasing. I'm holding back a little bit because I want to put more emphasis on this song.
No problem.
My wife believes in this song so much, so I want to put some more work into this song. I actually have my biggest concert to date in the US, March 29th at the Andrews University Campus Theater, which they call HPAC Howard Center.
Wow.
March 29th. It's going to be something unique. It's going to be something special. It's not a matter about me, but I'm able to use my creative abilities to let you know who Jesus is. And so just come out to experience that. It's going to be special. I'm making sure that it's going to be something different. Probably have a slight ensemble of instruments. I'll be inviting some friends of mine in the industry. So it's going to be great.
Love the sound of it, man. Congratulations again, Kevin. It's just amazing to hear what's going on behind the scene and just seeing a lot of what you've been doing and how you're being a voice to so many. It's a pleasure chatting with you and hearing a little bit more about that. Thanks again for joining the climb.
Same here, man. Thank you for having me.